Chicago Tonight, Black Voices is made possible in part by Fifth Third Bank and by the support of these donors.
At Fifth Third, we believe when diverse voices are heard and empowered, communities are made stronger, lives are made better, and the future holds greater promise for all. That's why we're proud to support Chicago Tonight Black Voices. Together, we can make a difference. Together, we can drive change.
Good evening, happy holidays, and welcome to a special edition of Chicago Tonight, Black Voices. I'm Brandis Friedman, and thank you for sharing part of your holiday weekend with us. On the show tonight, we'll bring you some of our favorite stories from this past year, including one of the first conversations we had on Black Voices, the local ties of the NFL's first black team president, and how he plans to lead an organization through crisis. Creating connections on the far south side by extending the Red Line to 130th Street. The Museum of Science and Industry has a new president and CEO who starts the job in January. One-on-one with Chevy Humphrey about making history in the world of science. Photographer Vashon Jordan Jr. gets the last word on how the black experience is depicted in media and who is telling those stories. And a portrait of a family-owned record shop that's been on the West Side since the 1960s. First off tonight, in 2011, Jason Wright chose an unusual path for a 28-year-old professional football player. He left behind a career in the NFL and a new contract offer to pursue his MBA at the University of Chicago Booth School of Business and a career as a management consultant. This year, Wright made another unexpected career pivot back into the professional football arena when he was named president of the Washington football team, the first black team president in the NFL. We spoke with Wright on the premiere of this program back in September. I began by asking him how he's preparing to lead the staff through a new name rebranding, a sexual harassment scandal involving the team's owner, and the social justice revolution happening right now.
You forgot COVID too.
Oh, there's the pandemic.
There's a lot going on. To me, a lot of these things are very big challenges, and especially the allegations of sexual harassment in our ongoing independent investigation are the thing that I'm taking the most seriously of all of them right now. They are challenges, but they are also very much opportunities. You know, the opportunity to shift our culture to one that empowers and raises voices, that makes people feel like they have agency and they don't have to mute or hide parts of themselves to come to work. That's going to lift an emotional burden on folks. That is a really beautiful thing, and it's going to give us more productivity and more innovation. You know, a new name or identity is a once-in-a-generation decision that's going to change the way this club faces the world, the narrative we bring to the world, the way we engage with fans, the way we do charitable work. All of those things that are laid out as, challenges are actually opportunities to make a big difference. And I'm motivated by impact.
You have a lot of history in the Chicago area, of course. An undergrad, you played on the team at Northwestern, you earned your MBA from Booth, as we mentioned earlier. How did your time and your education in Chicago influence, the work that you would go on to do?
Yeah, I think like most people, your undergrad story is one where you really form the way you see the world. And, for me at undergrad at Northwestern, I had a great coach in Randy Walker who just really helped me grow up and become a responsible young man, frankly. I had a group of folks around me in a great church there that gave me a spiritual foundation in the Evanston Vineyard Church there in the Chicago area. And I had a chance to play, people could argue whether or not Northwestern is a big stage. I think it is a big stage in Big Ten football, of learning how to perform under pressure and balance multiple objectives of being a student and an athlete, which is really quite hard. That enabled me to do, really good things when I bridged into my NFL career and beyond. And then at Chicago, go ahead.
Yeah, sorry. It's okay. I just want to jump in because one of the things that you're doing now, obviously, is you are the first black NFL team president, and you're only the fourth player to go on to becoming a team president. Two things. Why do you think it took so long for a player to become, or a black player to become a team president, considering that 70% of players are black? But also, why aren't more former players leading teams?
Yeah, there just hasn't been a clear pipeline from the field to the front office for a lot of various reasons, but especially for Black folks on the field, I think you could cite a lack of role models. I think for me, I didn't do this on purpose, but I happened to play for a Black head coach. I happened to play for a Black offensive coordinator. I had a Black assistant head coach, Romeo Cornell, Maurice Carthon, Anthony Lynn. I had a Black general manager, Rod Graves. And when you see those role models that are one step beyond the field, subconsciously it tells you that Black talent is valued and can excel in places that you normally don't see it. And so when this opportunity came to be, which was a bit serendipitous, I think that was part of what gave me the boldness to step into it. And so many people had come before me that put cracks in that proverbial glass ceiling that I was able to have a soft landing into this role.
Now, in recent weeks, of course, we've seen a lot of athletes across several professional sports using their position to protest racial injustice. And in some ways, maybe they're not joining the protests on the streets, but they're certainly doing it in their respective arenas. What is your reaction to that? And, what do you say to the people who say, just stick to sports?
Yeah, I think from the moment Colin Kaepernick was sitting and then chose to kneel after talking with military veterans about a more respectful way to show his protest, to today, athletes have driven a national, now actually global dialogue on racial disparities, starting with criminal justice, but it's become much more broad than that, including the work I used to do before on racial economic disparity. I think that a big part of the value of the blood, sweat, and tears you put on the field for a player is not just the salary, but also the opportunity to have your voice heard in an outsized way. I know it was that way for me when I was a player. When I was talking about inner city economic development or education reform or spirituality. For these guys in this moment, they are raising their voice in a unique way. And I'm supportive of all the ways, whether it's a demonstrative protest, active protest, or something that is more in the community, in the weeds, and moving towards working with partners in the community to make a difference. I'm supportive of all of them, as long as it moves us towards action. And I think that's exactly what things have done to date.
So we've got about 30 seconds left. Two questions. What are your hopes for your first season? And hey, it's just between me and you. So what's the name going to be? What's the new mascot going to be?
No dice on the name. No dice on the name.
I had to try.
Yeah, I know. No dice on the name. The betting money, because, they put a brother in the role. The betting money's on Red Tails. But I don't actually have a preference. I'm teasing. But my hope for this season, frankly, and my eye is really firmly set on our culture, is that we are able to set on the business side a culture where people feel empowered, where they can bring their full selves, and our business operations are humming and going. And then for Coach Rivera, I have no doubt he's going to get us wins, and it's going to be an exciting season.
Again, that was a conversation from September. The red tails that Wright mentioned there at the end are a nod to the Tuskegee Airmen. The Washington football team has yet to announce what its new name will be. And Washington isn't the only professional sports team to dump its name this year. Cleveland's baseball team recently announced that after 105 years, they will be dropping the Indians team name. For decades, Chicagoans on the far south side have been waiting for the CTA's Red Line to come to their neighborhoods. Plans to extend the heavily used train line south of its current endpoint at 95th Street have been discussed for years, as far back as the 1950s. But the project has been steadily moving from idea to reality in recent years. And the Chicago Transit Authority says it hopes to get a key development phase of the project on track very soon. Chicago Tonight's Nick Blumberg recently brought us this story. Here's another look.
Since the early 2000s, community groups have been pushing hard to extend the Red Line farther south.
The city does not end at 95th Street. We have a transportation desert. We have disinvestment in our community, which can be assisted with equitable transportation.
In 2018, the CTA released its preferred plan for where the tracks and stations would be located. The extension would run largely alongside an existing Union Pacific rail line, with stations at 103rd Street, 111th Street, Michigan Avenue at 115th Street, and 130th Street, better connecting the communities along the 5.6-mile stretch to the CTA's network.
Travel times for people living in the far south side of Chicago and south suburbs are some of the longest in the region. And this could add 20-minute time savings for people on their commute, which is a significant difference. And that's just on average, right? So some people would see more than that.
Earlier this year, the CTA awarded a $38 million contract for preliminary engineering work and a final report on the extension's environmental impact, key pieces needed to move forward with the project. The CTA's also lined up funding to make sure the economic development the project spurs benefits area residents and communities.
This project has equity at its foundation, and that's one of the biggest impacts for a project of this magnitude.
Michael Lafargue of the Red Line Extension Coalition wants to see not just better access to jobs, education, and health care, but transit-oriented development around the new stations. He says, think of it like when a rail line would come through a town in the Old West.
All of a sudden, that town becomes prosperous. It becomes a compact area of economics, social life, growth, education, religious life. But very importantly, transit-oriented development also brings economic development and power and the ability for funds to stay within a community.
Keeping those funds within the community and not displacing residents are key. The CTA says it's heard concerns about gentrification and is working with city departments like Planning and Development and Housing. Abraham Lacey of the Far South Community Development Corporation says for years, many neighborhoods around the proposed extension have been a bedrock of single-family home ownership for Black Chicagoans.
However, given that the population is aging, there needs to be a new housing strategy in terms of the rental housing, affordable housing, as well as single-family housing that can spur from this development.
Lacey is excited about the possibilities created by extending the Red Line, but he says folks aren't waiting for the train to come through. There's already a lot of work underway to reverse decades of disinvestment, and he says it's important to think about these challenges big picture and long term.
We have to do a 10-year strategy when it comes to how to fund our schools, how to get more help and assistance to Black-owned businesses on the South Side. And when it comes to housing development, we can't be going after these one-trick ponies anymore, where if we build one thing like a grocery store in your neighborhood, then that means that we did all economic development.
And in a city where many people don't own a car, extending the Red Line to Chicago's southern city limits can mean
an improved environment. It means investment into the community. It means investment in immediate walkability. It means better access to education, better access to health care. It's simply a quality of life we have been waiting for.
The CTA's Leah Mooney says the project is one of the agency's top priorities.
Our goal is to enter into the project development phase very soon. This project, I think, is really got legs, so very exciting.
For Chicago Tonight, I'm Nick Blumberg.
The project development phase Mooney mentioned is a 2-year process the CTA will have to go through to get federal funding for the extension. At the end of those 2 years, the CTA will have to finish 30% of the design and have identified about 30% of the funding that isn't coming from the feds. History was made this year at the Museum of Science and Industry. Chevy Humphrey was named the first woman and first Black American to be president and CEO of the museum. Humphrey begins the job in January and faces the challenge of keeping Chicagoans immersed in the museum experience during a pandemic. We spoke with Humphrey back in October, and we began by asking her why leading MSI has been an aspiration of hers throughout her career.
Yes, my first visit at the Arizona Science Center, a first business trip, was to MSI Chicago to see the Titanic exhibition. And when I walked in, I literally was amazed and awe. And I told my then boss, you know what, I'm going to work here one day. And she said to me, well, you need to get your job done in Arizona first, and then you can come here. And I've always known that MSI was the place for me.
And speaking of, the job that you did at the Arizona Science Center where you are currently, you were able to grow the assets there from $3 to $42 million and triple the number of visitors. Have you completed the job there? Because it sounds like it since you're moving to Chicago soon, but what is your directive for MSI?
The job is never done. It's always about ensuring that you have the highest impact in your community. And, one of the things I plan on doing when I come to MSI is really listening and understanding and getting to know the people of Chicago and the civic and business leadership to educators and students. And I just want to understand what's needed and how we can fill the need at MSI.
How do you plan on accomplishing your goals when you get to MSI, especially during a pandemic?
You know, every day is a day to learn things from the community, but also to really looking at the finances, really looking at the organization, and looking at how we can leverage and build off of the great foundation that has been built by the leadership at MSI and the Board of Trustees.
When you look back at your time at the Arizona Science Center, what are some of the programs and the initiatives that you're proud of implementing that led it to, a lot of the success that we just mentioned?
I'm really proud of the connection and the relationship of inclusive relationships, I would say, with our community. We are in every county in the state of Arizona. We actually support every rural community. And we've grown our teacher professional development programs as well as our free school admission programs within the state. And so I'm most proud of those accomplishments. In addition to bringing great exhibits to Arizona that have never been seen before in the world. So there's been a lot of great excitement in Arizona, and I hope to bring that same impact strategy to MSI.
Now, as we mentioned, you're the first Black person in this role. You're the first woman in this role. Why do you think it's taken so long?
Wow. It's a very difficult and very humble question to ask. I think that people just need opportunities and the chance to really show what they have and show their skill sets. And I think that it's about breaking those barriers and being models for a role model for others. I set out on the course of, I had a dream that I wanted to achieve, and I worked really hard. But at the end of the day, it takes others and people to believe in you, and it takes others to help you get to that next level. And I hope in my role at MSI that I can do that for other young women, other young brown and Black people, and young people as a whole, because I think that setting those goals and achieving those goals is very important.
Do you think you will be able to use your new position once you begin it to increase equity both in the science and the museum industries?
Yes, and over the past 15 years as being CEO, I've mentored many people, young people, people of color, men, women in our field to CEO roles and to grow within their organizations. And I believe a very important part of being a leader and the responsibility of a leader is to mentor others and help them achieve their goals.
Now, you have an MBA, you have an honorary doctorate, you've done obviously some extensive studying. You're currently pursuing a PhD. How did you get into the current field?
I got into the field because I just love nonprofits, and I was leaving the Phoenix Symphony, and I was called by the Arizona Science Center CEO at the time, and she said, this would be a great job for you. And I called my dad, who has a love for science. He's a biologist. And he said, that's the job. You need to take this job. And I just fell in love with science centers, and I fell in love with informal science education from day one, and it's just in my blood.
What advice do you have for other young Black people who may be considering a career, or to encourage them about that?
Don't give up. Set a goal, set a strategic plan for yourself, and you can do this. Go after your dreams, but never give up.
Again, that was the new president and CEO of the Museum of Science and Industry, Chevy Humphrey, back in October. Humphrey begins the job next month. For more than 50 years, a family business in West Garfield Park has persevered in good times and bad. They run a record shop that sells music in many formats and pretty much anything else that will sell. Chicago Tonight producer Mark Vitale recently visited Out of the Past Records to take a step back in time. Here's another look.
We've been in business so long with records. Well, at one time I had 10 stores. The first 45 we sold was Color Him Father. That was in 1969.
Marie Henderson ran the business with her husband Charlie before he retired. They married back in 1961. Now semi-retired herself, Marie runs the shop with her granddaughter and a man she calls her honorary son.
Been here for going on 30 years. Initially, it was mostly getting updated with computers and everything like that, getting everything digital, getting everything online, trying to get an inventory of things. I don't know if we'll ever get it done. We did attempt to, but our buyers didn't like that. Our buyers actually let us know, hey, don't organize. And the reason is because they love coming in and it being a treasure hunt for them. So they love digging through stuff and finding things that nobody else has found.
Yes, it's a lot of digging. We tell them when they come in, you're going to get dusty because this is out of the past.
Different music in different formats appeals to people around the world.
I have a guy that comes in, he comes every year from Germany, a guy that comes from England. I have had a couple of guys that come from Japan.
Marie has a fun story about the time she almost locked a customer in the store overnight. Check it out on our website. One reason for their longevity is that they sell more than records. They've sold wigs, balloons, jewelry, and photographs.
We sell a bunch of different things. That's what keep us in the business for a long time. We just don't stick to one thing. I pretty much grew up in the store, so that's how I found the love for old school music. Some of her customers are surprised that I know so much about music at a young age, but this is pretty much where I've been at since I was a baby. We grew up working. Like my grandparents always instilled, if you want something, you have to work for it.
This year, Out of the Past has endured a pandemic and civil unrest.
We didn't have to deal with the looting and, in the store in particular. Now, all around us they did, but they know we were black owned and we've been a staple in the community. So they really didn't bother us too much. We've been here long enough and we have a relationship with the customers. And a lot of times with their parents and grandparents and stuff like that.
Even though they have never quite gone away, Out of the Past sees itself as poised for a comeback.
And I really think records they coming back. If they say it have a period where everything die down and come back. So we tell them when you come in, don't expect a miracle. We're not a fancy store. We're a store for you to come in. It's like being at home. If you want to crawl, crawl. If you want to walk, walk. If you want to search, search. You're always home here.
For Chicago Tonight, this is Mark Vitale.
And you can find out more about Out of the Past records on our website. And be sure to see the owner's story about that time she nearly locked a customer in the store overnight. A series on Chicago Tonight Black Voices that we've especially enjoyed, called The Last Word, gives us the chance to pass the mic to Chicagoans and hear what's important to you. The protests that swept across Chicago this summer had plenty of cameras trained on them, but who was behind the camera? Photographer Vashon Jordan Jr. gives us the last word on the lens of history.
Black joy and the Black experience is magical. That does not change. What changes is who is presenting you images of Black people and our effortless beauty. My name is Vashon Jordan Jr., and I'm a photographer and the author of Chicago Protests, A Joyful Revolution, a photo book showcasing over 100 photos from more than 35 different demonstrations and moments that shaped the summer of 2020 here in Chicago. I believe that it is important to show the nuances of every story and present a narrative that represents the overall feelings and mood, not just of whoever is the loudest. In news media, given that the cycle changes so fast, it's very easy to overlook those small details and get a sense of what other people feel, unless you belong to that community. Then it becomes automatic. Having more photographers and media makers covering the communities and people they represent is an automatic win, because no one can tell your story better than you can. When people look back on the summer of 2020 and discuss what happened and who did what, I want young people to see themselves represented in a positive light. And this is not a constructed or staged depiction. The bottom line is, Black joy is revolutionary. And with this book, I want that to be cemented in history. I want those young people to be proud of the work that young people of this time put in, and know that it wasn't all suffering, despair, and sadness. We should see ourselves in positive lights too. Black people living our lives in peace and harmony is something we do not see broadcasted far enough, mainly because we're not in charge of the history books, which of course are not top of mind in the moment. So I'm challenging that. Because not only does representation matter, but who is depicting your representation matters even more. When you look at my photos from the Chicago protests of 2020, know that these are more than just pictures I took, but they are visuals of an experience that I shared with every person right in and right outside of the frame. I want you to see people of all backgrounds and identities coming together in solidarity, in light, in love, and embarking on a joyful revolution.
Be sure to check out our website to see more from the Last Word series. And that is our show for this Sunday night. Visit our website, WTTW.com/news, for the very latest from WTTW News. And of course, join Paris Schatz and me tomorrow at 7 on Chicago Tonight. After that program, join our community conversation tomorrow night about the significance of Watch Night and New Year's Day celebrations in the Black community. It starts at 8 p.m. and you can visit WTTW.com/events to RSVP. Now, for all of us here at Chicago Tonight Black Voices, I'm Brandis Friedman. Thank you for sharing part of your holiday weekend with us. Please stay healthy and safe, and happy holidays to you and your family. Have a good night.
Closed captioning is made possible in part by Robert A. Clifford and Clifford Law Offices, wishing all a happy and healthy holiday season.